Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Premium Finance Supporting Brokers Through the COVID-19 Pandemic and Beyond, sponsored by Close Brothers Premium Finance. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie Scott and I'm the editor of Insurance Times. I'm joined today by my co-chair and colleague Claire Rule, senior reporter at Insurance Times, as well as Laura Sweetman, head of sales South at Close Brothers Premium Finance, and Steve Pratt, commercial director at Bedford Insurance. So welcome everyone, it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Lovely, thank you. And in today's webinar, we're going to be taking a deep dive into some of the findings from a recent research report that Insurance Times worked with Close Brothers Premium Finance on, the Premium Finance Report 2021. So to start then, according to the report, despite 74% of the brokers surveyed saying that the continued impact of COVID-19 is their greatest business challenge, the majority, so around 69%, also report that COVID-19 had only slightly reduced or had not impacted their 2020 revenues. How do you think brokers have been able to remain resilient throughout the pandemic? And what are some of the continued challenges really that brokers may be facing as a result of COVID? Steve, I don't know if you want to kick us off with this one.
Oh, geez, thanks. Listen, brokers are resilient. You know, we are a resilient bunch. This is a new world that we're in. Who would have ever thought that we would be where we are today? I think there's a very much a trusted relationship between the clients and the broker, something which you build up over, years with some of our clients, and that will stand everybody in good stead in the future and carry us through this. Working from home has been a huge success for us, and speaking to a lot of other companies, I know that they've done really well on it as well. I mean, who would have ever thought that? For us, we went from one day having 70 staff in the office working away, and the following day they're all at home, and it was seamless. We're resilient, and it's gone well. But I suppose a lot of it as well, it depends on the line of business you're in. As I would imagine there's a number of brokers out there who are heavily into construction, and that industry hasn't been affected. They've carried on as usual. We do a bit of construction. We do quite a few hospitality industry clients, but I suppose we're predominantly property led. So which is almost a bomb-proof insurance, if you like. So we've fared pretty well on that side of things. But the hospitality industry, as we all know, has been absolutely decimated. So great shame. But brokers are resilient.
I'd 100% echo what Steve is saying around brokers being resilient. I think I made reference to it when we did an interview around the findings. I think for me, Close Brothers are in the same situation around, mobilising people immediately once the pandemic had hit. And I think, I was in direct contact with a lot of our key broker partners, and just the ability to get so many people working from home, lots of different locations. Concerns around, I suppose, infrastructure and bandwidth when it comes to IT. I think everybody was quite nervous, but I can genuinely say that I didn't really have any brokers who appeared to struggle with that. Everyone kind of got their heads down, got on with it, and probably within a week, it kind of felt like the storm had calmed down a little bit. So I think from that perspective, the brokers showed great resilience. I think, again, touching on some of the points that Steve has mentioned, there have clearly been brokers that have been more affected by COVID. So those in the hospitality industry, the construction industry. But what's been really interesting is those brokers have tried to adapt. So, whether that's looking at different types of industries or, they've been able to kind of broaden their spectrum of customers, and they've not just stood still, which has been really nice. And again, I think it shows how brokers will just take the situation and try and run with it. So that's been really, really positive. I think also, I suppose from a resilience perspective, if you think about it from a customer or business perspective, at this time, customers needed brokers more than ever because it was totally an unknown quantity. And I think brokers have really stepped up and helped their customers as well, which has been really great to see.
No, definitely. And you know, that's something that leads on quite nicely to our next question, really. So in terms of SME clients in particular, you know, they've been really hit quite hard financially by the pandemic. And as you guys know, that the research found that 33% of brokers have clients who want to reduce their cover levels, while 59% believe that hard market conditions will also lead to a drop in cover for clients. So how can brokers really provide support in these kinds of conditions, really, to ensure that SMEs who are facing these financial difficulties are not left underinsured?
Well, I think you've got to listen to your clients and be there to help them. Obviously, there is massive issues if people are reducing covers. They've got to understand implications behind it and everything. I'm not sure with regards to those percentages, you know, what type of industry those particular brokers were in. Of that 33%, did you say?
Yeah, 33% said they have clients who want to reduce their cover levels.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't come across it very much. I suppose on maybe on fleets, you're getting people laying up vehicles and stuff like that because they're obviously not on the road. But look, it's a matter of listening to clients, understanding their position, and it might be that you know, they don't have to reduce, and you know, we can use our friends at Close to help them with cash flow issues and things like that.
Definitely. I think from my perspective, Katie, you know, brokers know their customers really well. I think Steve touched on it. If the broker knows the customer, knows the sector that they're working in, and obviously has the relationship with the insurer, then, you know, I've seen so many examples where the broker has got the right outcome for the customer, and it doesn't necessarily have to be by reducing cover. So I think that's where, you know, brokers play a really important part by just knowing their customer and knowing the businesses. So I think that has really assisted. Brokers are extremely creative as well, so you know, I'm sure dependent on what the customer needs and their position, because of the experience that they have, they are able to adapt you know, what they would offer a customer normally. So that's always really positive, and we see that so many times. Fundamentally, I suppose the brokers are trying to get the best outcome for the customers, aren't they, and do the best, and that's what they have continued to do through COVID.
I couldn't agree more there. And we touched there on the sort of the relationship that brokers have with their clients. Now, obviously, social distancing has had quite an impact in terms of how brokers can manage these client relationships. The report that we did together, 14% of brokers in the survey said that their client relationships have actually suffered due to the restrictions on face-to-face meetings, while 37% said that stronger client relationships have been very difficult to sustain. So how do you guys think that brokers will be able to sort of manage client relationships as the UK eases out of lockdown? Do you think that these figures could potentially, you know, change, and, you know, relationships will become easier to manage and sustain? I mean, Steve, what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think, I mean, Zoom has been a great success for everybody through the whole last 14 months, 13 months, whatever it's been. I can see us returning to going out to see clients again as soon as possible, as long as they want to see us. You know, it's the government are trying to obviously get us back to the way we were as quickly as possible, and we're happy to do that. But it, you know, again, a lot of it's down to the client. If they're happy for us to go and see them, then we'll be going to see them.
Great.
Business as usual.
It's good to get out and about again, won't it?
Oh God, 100%. I think when I read this question, Katie, I was like, insurance is such a people and relationship business, and I've always said that. And actually, I think it will be interesting when we come out of lockdown, as to not just from a broker perspective, but from a close perspective, like how do you manage your client relationships? And I think it will be a mix of both, if I'm honest, because I think what Zoom and WebEx and Teams has brought is that ability, I suppose, to see more clients in a day. So you can do more in a day because you aren't stuck in a car, you're not getting a train. So from a kind of productivity perspective, it works really well. And where I've seen it work well is where, if I can bring other people in, maybe from close brothers, to a meeting that normally I wouldn't have brought in because they wouldn't normally come out of the office. So from that perspective, I definitely see there being benefits. But I think, as I said, insurance is a relationship business. We can't wait to get out and see our brokers when they are ready to see us, and just have that human interaction, which I think we're all desperate for.
I definitely completely agree with that. It's such a sociable industry, really. That's something I noted upon joining. So I kind of also wanted to touch on some of the challenges that the brokers are experiencing and facing, and what could come up, really. The report found that 51% of brokers think that the current hard market will damage prospects for commercial brokers. But interestingly, 36% believe it will bring benefits. So I just wanted to get your take really on what advantages really the hard market could bring to brokers, and how do firms ensure that they can reap these benefits if there are benefits to be had. Steve, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I suppose you're going to have more financing is going to be needed in a harder market. Cash flow for clients is going to be extremely important for them. We're going to be needing the flexibility of the likes of Close to be there as a partner to help us with premiums going up, and to maintain that strong relationship that we have with our clients. There's one thing saying to a client that their premium has gone up, but ideally you want a solution to it, and if they haven't been financing in the past, then that's certainly something you're going to be offering them, and perhaps they're going to be going down that route.
Yeah, I think we are fully aware, and we've seen it in specific sectors where the market is already hardened. Obviously, it doesn't appear to have been across the entire industry. And I think from a Close Brothers perspective, as Steve said, we will work with our partners to ensure that customers have the ability to have finance, and our risk appetite will continue across all sectors of the industry. And in all honesty, it has since COVID kind of kicked off back last year. We want to continue to support businesses in the UK. It's really important for us, and we will work on individual cases where things might not look 100%, and normally we might not have looked at it, but we will work with Steve and the brokers to make sure that we can support where we can.
Definitely. And just before I hand over to Claire, are there any other particular challenges that you guys feel that brokers need to be aware of as we come out of lockdown and start to move forwards?
I think, sorry, go on, Steve. Go on.
No, it's your turn to go first. I don't
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I better go first. I think, and again, it's one that's the same within premium finance. I suppose it's not just about the customers, it's about the staff and getting people back to a normal kind of working routine, I suppose. I've noticed it specifically since the last lockdown. We've all got Zoom fatigue, haven't we? Some days you just go, I don't want to put my camera on, I don't want to see anybody. And I think it's going to be hard for brokers that run businesses, whether you've got 3 staff, 20 staff, 100 staff, getting back to what is the new norm, and making sure that people have got that support, so that the staff are in a good position to then be able to help the customers. So I think that's a challenge for all of us, whether you're a broker, an insurer, a finance company, and it's something that obviously we're putting a lot of time and effort into making sure we get it right.
Yeah, no, Laura, I totally agree with that. And all I'd add really is all brokers, everybody's different. They're all going to have their own different problems that they're going to encounter. But coming back to one of the first things we said today was resilience, and they'll get through.
definitely. So Claire, I don't know if you want to kick off with your questions.
Yes, thank you, Katie. So I've got a few questions, a couple on COVID-19, one on hard market, and I'm going to finish just with the future looking forward. So firstly, due to the pandemic, we've seen some new and emerging risks, and the report noted that 40% there was an increase in demand for premium finance. Do you think that this figure will increase, and why?
Do you want me to take that one, Steve? I'll take that one first as a premium finance led question. So I think we definitely saw it increase, and obviously that's reflected in the survey. I think at the beginning of Q2 last year, Q3, when people were quite unclear about what the pandemic actually meant, when there was a lot of question marks around what was the government going to do to support businesses and individuals, we saw a massive increase, because I think people just, specifically businesses as well, didn't want to use the cash that they had in the bank because of the uncertainty. So we certainly saw an increase, over Q2, Q3. It started to flatten a little bit now, so I don't anticipate the growth levels that we have seen, but I think that when we do get out of lockdown and though that government financial support stops, businesses will really have to start to take account of what they have got and how they're going to run their businesses. So I think you'll have people that have used their own cash to finance insurance before, and they will say, well, we don't want to do that anymore, so they will take premium finance. But I don't think we will see the levels of increases that we did see at the kind of start of the pandemic.
That's interesting. Steve, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I pretty much agree with that. Cash flow is going to be king to a lot of these businesses. I'm beating the close brothers drum here a bit, but they're going to be key to flexibility and being able to help the clients out, and to make sure that we have a renewal next year for them, and their business is still there, especially in the industries where they've been massively impacted by COVID. Absolutely.
And just following on from that, despite the very evident impact on insurers' bottom lines and the slight or reduced impact to brokers' revenue due to the pandemic, it was largely positive that the industry had seen some growth. For example, the research stated that 44% of brokers believe that their businesses would grow by more than 10%. Do you see this continuing, and why?
44% at 10%. Resilient and optimistic. Look, I think some brokers will see that. Again, what we said earlier, it depends, what your lead product is, if you like. For us, property rates are hardening. Motor's gone down. I can see the rates dropping on that side. Look, it's and there's a lot of buyouts going on still. I can see that increasing more. So I think there's going to be a lot less brokers in a year, 18 months time than there is today. Which will be sad to see, but I think that will happen. And for brokers, really, it's about that personal touch with the clients. They're very good at it, and Laura.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, when I saw the results, I thought, oh, that does seem quite high. But then I think, back to Steve's point, brokers are always really optimistic, and so it doesn't surprise me in a way. I think there will clearly be growth for brokers that have been hit by specific industries such as hospitality. So as things now start to open, there is going to be that kind of natural increase. So they took a loss last year, and that business will start to come back. I think when we did the survey, I think the fact vaccine had just been kind of rubber stamped, so there was probably quite an air of optimism as well, which, you know, that's going really well. So I can understand why brokers at the time probably saw opportunities. And then again, just touching on Steve's point, I think a lot of brokers out there know that they are wanting to grow via acquisition, and there is so much going on. So 10% growth if you acquire a broker can be quite easily achieved. So again, when you delve into the actual responses, it kind of all does make sense from my perspective.
That's very interesting. I just wanted to go back to something that Steve said. You mentioned the commercial property market hardening. Why do you think that is? Is it because more and more businesses are working from home and getting rid of bigger offices?
No, it's just the feedback we're getting from the insurers. They've obviously the winter we've had and everything. The rates have probably been too cheap for too long, and they're pushing the rates up. So onwards and upwards in that area. Whereas some areas it will go down. D&O is going through the roof. PI. Especially for you know, there's a number of hardening markets. We know that motor dropped last year, and it'll probably do so again, and that's to be expected with so few vehicles on the road last year. You know, and yeah, rates should drop in that area, but they'll bounce back. They'll bounce back.
Interesting. Okay, so according to the report, premium finance has a key role in helping the broker manage the impact of the hardening market. And you've already touched on the hardening market there with your answer. So how can premium finance providers better support the broking community as the UK unwinds from lockdown?
Okay. I think from our perspective, it's about making sure that the brokers and all of their teams around them fully understand premium finance. So I suppose we want to make sure that we provide the relevant training, that, you know, brokers understand the underwriting criteria, because I think, as Steve mentioned, you know, it's going to be more important than ever for those increased premiums for customers and brokers to know that we're here to support them. So I think, you know, we touched on it earlier about making sure that we still continue to underwrite business in all sectors of the industry, continue to work with brokers on, I suppose, more complex cases. And what's nice about the premium finance team at Close is we've got a very experienced team. So our sales representatives know their brokers, they know their panel of customers. So that really works well together. I think ultimately getting back out in front of brokers and just understanding a little bit more about what their brokers' plans are in the next kind of 12 months, and making sure, you know, that if they are launching new products or new schemes, that we can support and try and drive the usage of premium finance where appropriate with their customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from me, it's just flexibility.
Okay.
That's the big word.
Why do you say that?
Well, we're going to need finance providers to be flexible in their loans, you know, and they have been. They've been amazing. So it's been really good, and we've managed to help out a lot of clients who in the past would probably not have gone down the route of finance.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. You've almost answered my next question. So thank you, Steve. So, looking ahead, what advice would you give brokers navigating the next chapter of the pandemic, and how can premium finance providers work together with them during this period of unknowns?
Flexibility.
Yeah.
That's the key. Yeah, no, just reiterate what I just said. You know, it's been an incredibly difficult time for the world. You know, it is a new world that we live in today. This is not going away next month, next year, is it? You know, I think realistically, we've got this for a few years. It'd be lovely to see London, obviously living local to the city, you know, returning to some normality and being able to get back up there and meet up with the insurers and the clients up in town, but you know, we'll see. But yeah, it's difficult times ahead still, and we need that flexibility from clubs, and I'm sure the other brokers will pretty much say the same, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, you know, our advice or ask from brokers would be just to engage with us, talk to us, tell us what you need, which is what happens anyway, and it has done even more so during the last 12 months. You know, we try and be as supportive and as reactive as possible to what the brokers and customers need. So I think those communication channels are there, and they will just continue. So that's I suppose the best bit of advice I can give.
It's interesting. Just going back to the communication channels part, do you think being on lockdown has actually helped brokers communicate, because we have different channels that are being used more widely now, like Teams, like Zoom? What do you think about that? From
personal experience, yeah. I mean, I still have to phone up my IT guys and say, look, guys, help me out here. How do I get onto this Zoom call or whatever? So, look, I'm learning all the time. It's been a fantastic learning curve, and it's a great way of being able to achieve this. I mean, if it had happened 20 years ago, we'd be, you know, this wouldn't be happening, or 10 years ago. You know, yeah, it's amazing what you can achieve.
I think it's been, without, I suppose, the video calling, I suppose, just from a well-being perspective. I mentioned fatigue earlier because I feel like we've done so much of it. But at the start, you know, seeing people was just a godsend, and being able to, especially in the I suppose the first couple of months of lockdown, where there was such uncertainty, literally being able to talk to so many people in a very short space of time, which you never would have been able to do before. So I think, yeah, it definitely has had its benefits, and we will take parts of it into the new world moving forward. But yeah, it'll be nice to see Steve face to face, to be honest, rather than over a video.
Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
What are you both looking forward to as we come out of lockdown?
Normality, but like I said, I think that's going to be some way away. Yeah, look, as I said a minute ago, it'd be lovely to get back uptown and start meeting up with some of the insurers again, and catching up with other brokers as well. Corporate events is, you know, they're quite handy to be at, because it gives you that opportunity as a broker to meet up with other brokers and chat about what's going on in the industry and problems they've got, or, you know, and just bounce ideas off each other as well. So yeah, I miss that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to probably getting in my car, and it was always something I used to moan about, being stuck on the M25. I probably will love it for the first few times I get to go out and be stuck on the M25.
Oh, not the M25, Laura, really?
I know, I'll live to regret that. But probably the first time I go out, I'll get stuck. But no, like Steve said, just normality. Going to Wimbledon, to the head office for Close Brothers, seeing the team, being able to, I suppose, video is great for lots and lots of things, but that sometimes that collaboration, you do need it face to face. So yeah, I look forward to resuming that and getting back out and into the office.
Amazing. Katie, have you got any further questions to add?
No, I think that's all from me.
I've got one for you guys.
Oh, okay.
What are you looking forward to after this?
I think I'm going to say it's the industry events and the networking side as well. I completely agree with what you're saying, Steve. For us, it's a great opportunity to mingle and meet you all. Obviously, you guys are our readers, and we want to know what's important to you, what challenges you're facing, what the hot topics are you guys are debating, so that we can explore them further and write about them for you. So for us, getting to meet you all and attending events that help, you know, broaden that topic knowledge for us is essential. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some lunch meetings, some coffee meetings, conferences. Looking forward to getting back out there.
Yeah, I would say something of a similar vein. I'm definitely looking forward to the live events. You know, so journalism is such a social sector. It's just not the same when it's done virtually. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Very good.
Okay, so I guess that just leaves me to close. I'd like to thank Steve DeLamos-Pratt and Laura Sweetman for your time. I hope everyone enjoyed listening, and if you have any further questions, do email them through and we will pass them on to the relevant panelist. And if you would like to download the Close Brothers report, you can find that on our website. And thank you again for your time.